you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Yikes.
Well, at least somebody's live today.
Well, yeah, there ain't no more pool for today. So that's for sure. Mike, I don't know where to begin at, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah, Team MIA is
that's a good one.
Team MIA. Yeah, it's gonna have some new call letters.
We got to come up with some new taglines here, Mike. But then we say shit the bed too many times.
Yeah.
Josh,
I feel bad piling on, but I mean, gosh darn, it's just it's really tough to watch.
Listen, this is like fucking sports here, Mike. You know what I mean? So like, I think like if you're gonna be in that position, it kind of comes with the territory, for better or worse.
Yeah, no, it does. Listen, we've all watched, Super Bowls where one team absolutely ran over the other, and they were the two best teams in football, right? So we've seen that before, and it's still painful to watch.
No, it's brutal.
As far as if the match was over today, yeah, but now you won't see AJ. You won't see him. You'll see him tomorrow, maybe once.
Yeah.
In a doubles match. That'll be it. Well, in the teams match, teams and double. That's all he'll be in tomorrow. But all these other guys are going to have that.
But teams ain't going to count, right? Teams don't count for MVP, right?
For MVP, I don't think it does. So
I don't think it does, yeah.
So I mean, but like everybody else on his team, he's undefeated so far. So yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of points. But he's played. Well, that's there. If you're all undefeated, you are. So it's just it's opportunity. So he's not going to have much opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah.
Doubles match. So everybody else.
Let's kind of start at the beginning, Mike. Maybe some people are tuning in who don't know what's going on. They started off the day 4-0 in favor of Team Asia. The wheels have officially come off. It's a bloodbath. It's brutal. 7-0. They pulled the last match of the day. I saw a lot of give up throw, Mike.
There's two matches. There were supposed to be 5 matches today, but we said yesterday if it got to 7-0, they were going to pull the plug because you're within. If you're trying to get 2 more days out of this, you got to limit Team A to 2 wins over each of the next 2 days. Otherwise, you don't even get to Sunday. So tomorrow,
if they win 2 tomorrow, it's a wrap. Yeah.
Yeah, the minute that Team Asia gets to 9 tomorrow, no matter whether it's after the first 2 matches or after the first 6 matches, the minute they hit 9, plug's going to get pulled, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So and listen, I don't blame them, and it's I feel badly for them as well because they knew the crowds were going to be soft on Thursday and Friday. They were banking on the weekend, so they stacked up 6 matches a day on the weekend, and they're still having to trim matches.
That's what makes it even worse is that they actually set this up so that way they wouldn't have to deal with this problem. You would think, right? Because they put 4 on day 1. So usually they did
it for 2 reasons. One, they did it to ensure weekend matches, but they didn't think it was going to be a runaway like last year anyways. So they did it more to ensure bigger crowds. So you give more to get into, more to get excited about, to play for, things like that. So it was like get a lot of people in there Saturday and Sunday, which would be really cool. It would look great
on the weekend.
If that place
right. Yeah.
So, but now, you're even if I bought a ticket for tomorrow, I know that I might only be there 2 matches and I'm going home.
Yeah, that's what you're basically buying your ticket for is for, probably to get 2
You're guaranteed 2 matches. You're guaranteed 2 matches tomorrow.
That's it.
It could go as many as 6. It could go 7 if all of a sudden Team MIA, shows up. But, the fact of the matter is there's a chance you're 2 and done.
I asked you this yesterday, Mike, and I said, and yet the remaining games are canceled for today, so they're done for the day. There will be no more matches today. They do not want this to get even more out of hand with 2 more days left for them to be out there. So they want to be able to at least, you'll get 2 matches guaranteed on Saturday. You'll get guaranteed 2 matches on Sunday. You have a lot more possibility if team like Mike dubbed them MIA, which is just that's Hall of Fame material right there, buddy. He's calling MIA on the fly like that. That's why you got the jacket, buddy. But I asked you this yesterday, Mike, and I'm going to lead off. Mike, who's to blame for what's going on out there?
Listen, the players are. It's they're not making balls. I mean, it's Team Asia is playing great, but Team Asia has left a lot of balls on the table. Asia has given Team Europe or Team ROW plenty of opportunities, and the rest of the world is playing like they've never played before. I mean, Fran looks completely helpless out there. He looks like he's got no confidence in what he's doing. Jason's missing balls. When Jason's missing balls, I think that trickles down to the rest of the team.
Jason's in complete. This is the Jason that I tell you is a front runner, because when he gets down in a match, he ships it. And especially like if it's late in the tournament, you'll just see him where he starts two-stroking it. And it's not what we're used to seeing from him in the Moscone Cup. But like I said, usually it's because they're stealing. So like even if they miss a couple of balls, it don't matter because they got so much confidence because they're always stealing against Team USA. Where here, this is like, I mean, it is bad to watch. And I agree with you on all your points so far.
Yeah, I mean, just watching the mistakes that they're making are just, the missed easy shots and the fouls and the shirt fouls and they can't get out of their own way. I mean, Federer had a couple chances in that last rack against AJ. Fran had a couple chances in the last match of teams. It was, they've had plenty of opportunities and they're just not getting out.
They're completely shitting the bed. It doesn't look like they're playing with any kind of pride or fight whatsoever. There's a lot of give up already, and you saw that. I don't know how the first match went, Mike, because I didn't wake up to watch a team match. My alarm went off 5:30. I said, you know what, not today. Yeah. And so I got up, and it was right at the end, and I wake up to social media, and I see AJ wins the last point for Team Row at Hill, and I'm like, that's pretty clutch, and then I started getting messages, and like Jaeger says in the chat, the last safety from Fran. That's what I was getting in terms of messages.
Yeah, you know what?
The play was terrible.
I don't know if it was embarrassing. I mean, even listen to this guy who's like, there's really nothing you can do here that's going to be a guaranteed safe. It was so hard to get the cue ball, and I think it was the 4 in different ends of the table with the 5 sitting right there. I mean, there's going to be it was a hard safety.
The Europeans are great at doing like containing safeties, making just smart decisions and just living to fight the other day. I mean, one of my favorite Moscone matches of all time was David and Double J, and seeing that epic safety battle that just went on and on and on. You know what I mean? And so like that's what I always think about, especially when I think about like Spaniard safety in particular. You know what I mean? Is just their ability to grind in that aspect. Like I said, I didn't see the end of it, so I can't say. All I saw was just a clip from AJ running out, and he came with some pretty big shots. The kid stepped up big time. I know they put him on a high pedestal, but he's delivered to this point, Mike.
That shot on the 4 that he got left with, that long one that he rifled in there. I was like, okay, this one's pretty much done from here. He made some great shots. Yeah.
You mentioned the players, obviously, and they're the ones, out there on the field. So, you got to give them some bit of the blame for sure. What about Double J, Mike? How much is he going to shoulder?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of weight you're putting on your shoulders for getting these guys ready to play. Mentally, listen, these are all alphas. They're all individual pool player mercenaries. They had to come out there today, every one of them feeling like pissed off and we're coming back and whatever. So I think that mentally they probably came in the right frame of mind, right? I think the lineups that they picked today, I wouldn't play. That's what I would if they got hoodwinked on that. I mean, you knew that they had to come out big singles. We thought Jay, but they came out with Federer, and then Federer into doubles, which we knew either was going to be Jay or Federer in that first singles match, and that allowed that person to play the next doubles match too. So you ended up with the same thing. You ended up with Federer and then Federer and Jason. or you could have had Jason and Federer and Jason, whatever you wanted. So, I mean, they kind of did what they needed to do as far as the lineup. So it's not like they got, taken advantage of. And we knew that Team Asia would then, say, okay, this is a great situation, 4-0. It's a great spot to throw AJ into that first singles match and let him play doubles.
But they knew that. They knew that the writing was on the wall. You were going to send the kid in.
All I'm saying then is that from a coaching standpoint, I don't think you can blame JJ for putting together a bad lineup. I don't know, I don't know what else you would want him to do to get his guys ready for today. He's not going to teach them how to play pool. You got to get them emotionally or psychologically ready. And I don't know how much that is. I don't know, whether they need fire and brimstone or whether they need soft soaping or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, the players come out there and miss shots left and right. That it's a snowball rolling downhill. And now the thing that's even worse is that they front loaded today, right? They used up Federer's singles, they used up Federer and Jason in doubles. They've already
that's what I told you. That's what I told you yesterday.
So now,
what happens if
you guys
heavy loaded and then you lose? Then it's like,
right.
Where's your? If
you had
a little bit of hope today. Oh,
you had to take that chance and front load it like that, right? So now they're really swimming upstream because now you got Moritz going out there and Sky going out there like without a paddle. They're on their own, pal, because your big hitters are already done. So I don't know, maybe they come through and play better. Fran, like I said, Fran is going to be. Thank God they called off these other matches because I wouldn't have wanted to see Fran in that second doubles match at the end of the day with Moritz because that could have been a bloodbath.
It already is.
So
yeah.
So it's it's not and here Team Asia, you guys got guys like Carlo and Yap didn't even they played in teams and sat the rest of the day out. They got to be chomping at the bit to get out there tomorrow. I bet those, everybody on their team.
You know how loose they're going to be
out there. Can't wait to get out there and hit balls. They all want to. No one wants to be the first one to lose a match. So, it's not.
That's what I said yesterday.
It's not stacked up well right now. Now, could Europe go on a? I mean, I keep saying Europe.
Pretty much it's Europe and Sky.
Yeah, anybody can go on a run. So we'll see what happens. But Team Asia, man, it's a good thing the Co's are in China because this could have been
bad,
zero with an exclamation point.
Well, I mean, now that's the goal now, right? Like we saw yesterday when Chua, you sent me that clip, which I just love, by the way. I love a little bit of like bravado and showing a little bit of flair. And it's a fucking wrap. So I love that. You know what I mean?
They won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To follow it up like that. And you would think, listen, you follow sports, Mike. I mean, bulletin board material is everywhere, right? So like I would imagine using that to kind of fire up the boys, and they came out completely flat. But yeah, I mean, it's been thank God, like you said, the Co brothers aren't there for sure. I think like in terms of Double J, it's kind of brutal because I respect Jeremy a lot, but you knew you were getting handcuffed going in, and you still decided to like take on that spot. So like this is kind of the same thing to me. The same way like all these guys are out there getting embarrassed, like you knew what you were signing up for to go and collect the check, and this was always going to be a possibility, and you still took it on. Now, I got to give a little bit of credit because they wanted to at least step up to the challenge, but heavy is the head that wears the crown, Mike, and so this was always going to be a possibility whenever you were outgunned. The reality is even this rest of the world team against a B team of Asia, or even just you leave those guys on Team Asia and give me 5 guys, just give me 5 Filipinos. Hell, I saw the crowd with a couple of Marboys and Cheska. Give me just some kids in the crowd. They were going to be up against it, Mike. You know what I mean? So, and that's the brutal part when you think about the the disadvantage that Double J was in going into it. Now, when you start looking at optics and all these things and body language, like we talked about before, and how you can micromanage while you're in there, like in the thick of the fight. Look, we saw last year guys checked out and being on their phone, and a couple of times they pan over, and all I'm seeing is this thing here. Now, I can't see their phone. I can't see their phone, but I can see them just looking down. You know, and I can imagine what they're doing. It doesn't look good. You know, it does not look good at all.
And that's where this is where, you know, and this isn't JJ's style, or it's not, you know, Carl's style last year. But, you know, these guys aren't used to getting their butts kicked. The guys the Europeans who are on that team, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think you need to get in their face.
Well, I saw this clip of Double J. I saw this clip of JJ like this morning when I woke up, and he was saying like he had this real man-to-man talk, like in a real stern voice, and I'm thinking, okay, well that's good, you know. But you know, I don't know how much.
I'm talking breaking chairs and shit. I'm talking.
Well, but we talked about this yesterday, Mike. Like, how is that message gonna get through and sit with guys coming from Double J, given the fact that he hadn't done it before on his own? You know, he's won a Moscone Cup with Johan, but he hasn't won it on his own. So like, how much weight are you going to give that message coming from, especially from the European side of things, Mike?
You know, I don't know. You know, we'll see whether I think they respect him, whether they think that he's a leader. But I don't think like last year, you know, Carl wasn't that type either. So, you know,
Carl was just taking the day off from doing commentary. That's all he was doing. He wasn't,
exactly.
You know, that's all he was doing.
So those guys, I think those guys figure that they know what they're doing, whether they have a coach or not, whether it's Ralph Eckert or Carl or JJ. They don't really need a coach. You know, they don't really need a captain. They just need to show up and get together and play. And that's what they've always talked about. That's why Jason loves this captain's role in Moscone, things like that. It's like, okay, we can handle our own business. Well, you know what? Right now, they're not handling their own business.
Interesting point in the YouTube chat. Josh, somebody says, how about this? If you don't perform, you don't play next year. Josh, shoot me a PM if you can on Facebook. I'll send you a piece of town chalk. Mike, I want to ask you that question, Mike. I mean, like I said this going into it as far as like exhausted storylines, and we're kind of seeing these same things I've talked about before, guys that are just collecting checks. You can see it out there. Guys are not playing with pride. Now, I know it's hard because they're used to being competitors all year long, especially in the Moscone Cup, but it's just like there's no fire there, Mike, you know, and we even saw that in terms of some of the amount of tournaments some of these guys played. Whenever we looked over the stats, right? Some of these guys are not playing a lot of tournaments because they know they're getting in no matter what.
Okay,
they know they're automatic to get in.
From that standpoint, I'd buy into it. You know, no more of these. Don't worry, January 1st. You know, you're already playing in December. None of that shit. That would be a good way to go. You know, if they want to do that, then you go 5 merit.
But see, but they say that
5 points, guys, and you take the world championship out of it, or you pare down world championship points to the same points as other majors, or maybe a little bit more, and you take the top 5 guys, period, and that's it. Then you know, you're getting guys who put in the effort, 1, and produced 2. So yeah, if you wanted to do that, I'm all for that. The hell. But this like, you know, palsy stuff, and I've got 19 stuff, and it's, you know, that stuff, it's old, and it's kind of really going back to bite Matchroom in the ass in this event, because it's not a good optic.
It's terrible, Mike. It's terrible, and that's the reason why, like, I've been kind of like shitting on this manipulated roster from Emily and Matchroom, because it's like and I said this yesterday. If they go out there with Filler and Shane and Federer and even Jay and whoever else, give me a 5th guy, whatever, I don't care. But like, if you give me the best guys and then this happens, well, that just means the Asians are too strong, and then we got to fucking pivot from there, you know. But the fact is that when you don't have the best team out there, like, everybody knows it is not the best team. I mean, you can ask all those Muppets in the commentary that are going to say otherwise, but everybody knows it is not the best team out there, you know? And so for you to go and do that, and then have it just be completely flat and effortless and whatever, and then have this kind of scoreline be uncompetitive. It's you have to shoulder the blame if you're Matchroom when it comes to this, because you completely shit the bed on all aspects here. You listen, Double J being handcuffed, him playing that role for them.
Yeah,
That's just you
always,
signed up for that part of it.
It's always going to look that way from the loser standpoint, right? Asia is not.
Yeah, but like we never really.
Wait a second. Team Asia is not the best Team Asia it could be either, right? We admit that.
Of course,
we understand.
Yes,
right. And Matchroom tinkered with that for optics and for visibility and all that. That's working out really well for them because they put AJ Manis on there for no reason at all, and he's turning out to be the storyline. If it wasn't for AJ Manis, I don't think anybody'd be watching this at all right now at 7-0. So it's kind of a double-edged thing. I mean, you win on one side, you lose on the other side. It's kind of always going to be that way. If Asia had his best team, we wouldn't be talking about AJ Manis right now.
Yeah, let me see. He says they're your leading QTech MVP award. Crazy that he was only picked for social media numbers. Well, like that is a little bit of a troll from Matchroom for sure. I mean, if you guys are checking that out on their Facebook page, but
what does it say?
It says let me see. It says crazy that he was only picked for social media numbers. The leading man for the QTech MVP award. So let me see if I can kind of bring it in here. My phone.
It's a Matchroom post.
Yeah, it's a Matchroom post. But here's the deal.
That's a balls post. That's like
the kid has stepped up. You can't deny that. But it doesn't change the fact that he was still picked for fucking social media.
Nobody's arguing that he's stepped up and that he's the real deal.
This is
great. He might be on this team for 35 years.
It's posts like this are why I really don't give a fuck when it comes to shitting on like them dropping the ball. Because it's like you want to go and sing praise as far as your pick. But wait. Hold on. You want to sing praise as far as like you picking them and we knew it, right? We knew. Oh, listen, then you fucking dogged it big time when it comes to the row. You take all the bad with the good, then because there's a lot of bad here. There's a lot of ugly bad. I don't want to look. It is cringy. It's terrible.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but give them, listen, it's their company, it's their product, it's their marketing team. Are they going to go out there and get on social media and start apologizing for Team Rest of the World? Are they going to? They're going to find the one thing that they can hang your hat on, and they're going to play it up media-wise. That's what you're supposed to do. So yes, they're going to put out an AJ Manis post and pat themselves on the back for AJ Manis. They'll let us do all the ragging on Rest of the World. But I don't think it's that. It's like, listen, this is the only positive we have coming out of this right now. This is what I'm going to ride. So yeah, I mean that's the way marketing works. You're not gonna get out there and talk about how embarrassed you are that you picked the team, that Josh Filler's not on Team Rest of the World. You expect that post coming from Matchroom? If you ran Matchroom, would you put that post out there?
Well, I don't think there's any. I think there's just too much ego there, and there's not enough humility out there to go.
It's also business. It's also business.
No, I get that side of it, but like I said, I think then both sides of that are going to be fair to me anyway. Like listen, the kid has played great. You can't. The kid has stepped up. He's come with some big shots. I know today wasn't like the purest of like matches from him, you know what I mean, especially compared to day one, but like he's played solid. He's gotten you a whole bunch of points, right? But like that doesn't change any of that other shit, like. And so the fact of the matter is, like, even if you pride yourself on this tour that goes year round for you to earn your way onto this thing, right? But like at the end of the day, a guy who's sitting in 60 whatever can go and get picked, so then the tour really doesn't fucking matter, right? Go and build up your socials and then play, 10 tournaments a year, and that's fine, and then you got a pretty good chance at getting in, but like it undermines like the premise on what you're selling players on, more importantly. And I think that's a big reason why you're starting to see, or you started to see, a lot of big names say, you know what, we're good. I don't want to play that fucking game. That's why you see Shane say, I'm good. That's why you see Josh say, I'm going to go play over here, right? That's why you see a lot of these guys who know that they're middle of the pack. They don't have a lot of personality. They're kind of, they're great players, right? But they know they're not going to check off that matchroom box. They're going to say, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go play where I have a chance to actually go and
Yeah.
earn something in terms of how I'm playing pool versus playing your fucking carnival game that you're playing out there, you know.
I
And
get it.
yeah, no, I do too. I do too. And like Nick says in the chat, more are leaving. That's what I'm hearing, and I've been hearing that, Mike. I've been hearing that for quite some time. And like I mentioned before, when it comes to this AJ pick, listen, it's great for these young Filipino stars to be able to get a chance at earning their way onto a tour and being able to build a bankroll and get some, backing in terms of what from whoever sponsors or whatever, right? But like the guys who are the bread and butter of the tour, right? The guys who like build your storylines from 128 or 256 throughout 64, or even going further than that, like even into like 32 and 16. It's like those are the guys where you're gonna feel like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and just find somewhere else to play because this shit at the end of the day, it's not getting me anywhere. It really isn't, because you're gonna end up getting the short end of the stick, and that's why you are seeing, to Nick's point, a lot of guys that are jumping ship here. You know, um,
Yeah.
the
Well, and
exhibition.
we talked about this before about the merit thing, and making your performance matter, and my argument was I agree with that 100%. I think that these teams should be at least top three merit based. I understand you always want to have your pick in your back pocket for
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
who
yeah, yeah,
generates, or someone like Jason who plays really well in this most of the time. Things like that. I understand that. But
right.
to me, bring back those other merit based events like World Cup of Pool, like World Pool Masters, things like that. Then you can still play by your own rules. Key events like the Moscone and Reyes Cup, which are mostly, they're shows. We all want the best players, and they're shows.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is where to get their biggest audience. This is whatever. So I've never minded them kind of having a little bit of their own way here. I think they're out of control with the Reyes Cup, but you still need to find ways to make the merit worth something if you
Yeah,
want
you
some of
do.
these players to come back, right? So you have to give them more of those merit opportunities, because if this is your only merit opportunity and you're picking two guys and you're waiting until you know who the two guys are before you determine that it's only going to be two guys, then it's then you're playing both sides to the middle, and you just have fun on you.
Yeah, well, here's the deal: is that like when you even if you rewind 2 years ago, there was already guys like we talked about before where it's like, you know what, I really don't trust them, but I really don't trust them either. Seems like they got more upside than them, but like I'm still not 100% which way I'm gonna go. At least one of them is a little bit more like black and white when it comes to things,
A
and
little bit,
so
yeah.
and the problem is that after, as like a unit of players, right, they've been fucked over for decades, you know what I mean, and have seen promoters come and go. And so when you start having things like that going happen, like when you're cherry picking, or it's completely based off of not like, in other words, it's not based off of merit. It's like then you lose trust within the locker room, and it's so hard to build that back up with them, you know and
Yeah.
and then you're kind of starting from the ground up in terms of building talent and building storylines, which they needed to do anyway, in match when they did, because a lot of these guys are like aging out. You know what I mean? Those storylines have already long been played out and have been squeezing the life out of them. But it's like I don't want to do that for the sake of um losing potential down the road, because what hope do I have if I'm an American knowing that it's buddy buddy in terms of the system? Why do what I if I'm a Filipino, would I go and do it if I know for sure I'm not going to get top 3, right? If I don't win, Hanoi and whatever else, then fuck. World championships are so much more important now, right? To even get an automatic.
Yeah.
Even a guy was in the final four in Cledio, but it's like, that if you don't get there, it's bust. There's no like hope or long shot. And even these guys, listen, we saw this with Laley years ago, whenever he dipped out of Team Europe on a winning streak, Mike. And part of the reason why he left was because they handcuffed him in terms of him being able to pick Federer on his team.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, they handcuffed him not allow him to pick Federer out on that team. So it's like you know that that's the way things kind of go already, and players, whether they go and say it publicly or not, they know the way that this shit rolls already as it is, so you can't play both sides here and think you're going to have this stable of talent and personalities, because you're not. You're really not, and you're going to be reaching when it comes to some of these things. And listen, while I love fans' passion online, and I love that all the Filipinos and all the Asian fans are just cheering and rooting this on, and it's great, Mike. The problem is, if you look at today, right, and even yesterday, there's nobody fucking there, and that's what's going to pay a lot of these bills. And how are you going to go and get more eyes and viewership and fans excited to go and show up if it's lopsided and uncompetitive and these fabricated storylines? If you look at everything when it comes to the fans in attendance, it's all a shot like this. It's all.
If you think that that's why fans aren't there, then I'll go with that point. I'm not so sure that that's the case. I'm not sure.
I think it's part of it. I'm not saying it's the only one,
but I think it's part of it. To me, it's turning out that Manila isn't the pool holy land that everybody thinks it is in terms of fan support.
You don't think it's more financial than anything else, Mike? Because we've seen videos online for 20 plus years of standing room only, when you gotta step back to get out of the way for these guys to be able to play pool. So I don't think it's from a lack of passion. I think a lot of it has to do with the financial.
Rooms where guys can walk in free and walk out for free. So yeah, if you wanted to do like early days Moscone Cup and make it free, I'd still be interested to see how many people would actually show up there, because everybody in Manila says, "Oh, it's a weekday." I don't know. In the U.S., I go to stuff on weekdays all the time. Stay out till 11 o'clock at midnight. These guys might be the hardest workers in the world, because the minute you say that it's on a weekday, they're like, "Oh, we can't do that." So I don't know. Is this a great fan base or not? I guess we'll find out tomorrow. They've set it up for you to give you, potential 7 matches tomorrow on a Saturday. Show up tomorrow.
If they didn't buy their tickets, I'm not buying it now. Why would I? If I'm a fan, why would I go and buy it now? I think that most I'm going to get is, number one, is two matches, and 2, it's already
the least you're going to get is 2, and you could get 7, and you go watch. You go watch great pool players. You really got
to be a diehard then, Mike. You really got to be a diehard.
They don't have more than 1,500 diehards in the whole of Manila. If they don't, then we got to find another place for this event.
Well, I would have thrown 100 at them just to get guys in, just to get another 10 more guys in there. I'll tell you that, just to buy some tickets for some people, because this is like it doesn't look good on screen, either.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But it took them a long time to build Moscone Cup fan base up to the point where people were paying for tickets too. This is year 2 in Manila, but I did expect the Philippines to show out a lot more than they have, a lot more than they did last year, and a lot more than I've seen this year. I expected them, so I don't know if they're just not doing advanced marketing. Everybody says the tickets are too expensive. They had all the players were posting online 50% discounts with this URL or whatever it was. So they're trying to get people in there. So if people, are just still complaining that it's too expensive to go there, or they don't have enough time because they got to work the next day, then I think you need to find a different fan base, because these guys aren't.
Excuse me.
They're great online. Show up and pull money out of your pocket. I haven't seen it yet.
No, and that's going to be a big part of it, Mike, for sure. And this is where, look, I said this from the beginning, that in general, it's so hard to digest pool, and everything has to be about as good as it can be, and then sport will be what it will be, but to have that happen, you have to have a decent fan base. You got to have financially it to go and make sense. You got to have fucking stars too, because there's not very many of them, Mike. And I'll keep on circling back to it. It's even in the best case scenario.
This is in Manila, and you got Carlo Beato, Johan Chua, and AJ Manis in there. How much more do these Filipino fans need to get off their ass and go into the stadium? Now, someone said here, the venue is a problem because it's in a tough part of town for you to get to, and traffic is just such a cluster. I'll kind of buy that. I mean, we were there last year.
We saw that last
year.
Not
a great venue, not a great spot. I get all that. So find something. Yeah, I thought they were going to be in a different space this year, because last year was not great. And I thought, well, now you got a year to get ready for a different location. They ended up in the same place. So, it's apparent that they've got to do something different next year to bring more live fans. Now, if they're really passionate fans, they're going to come whether it's lopsided or not. We know that. We've seen the Moscone Cup lopsided for 1 million a year, and they get 3,000 paying fans. Okay, so why should this be different?
Josh, I got your message. I'll ship out your town truck today. I got to head out to UPS here in a little bit anyway. So, Mike, what? Oh man, this has been it's been tough. I feel like it's over before it even got started, Mike. You know what I mean? That's the part that sucks. And like we look forward to this shit all year long. You know, we look forward to these events all year long. You build the whole tour around earning a spot in invitationals, right? But like a lot of it's cherry picking, like we mentioned before. A lot of it's the same things we've seen, blowouts, blah blah blah. Mike, let me ask you this: what does what we're seeing the last 2 years with this event and the last few years in the Moscone Cup, what does it do to your enthusiasm for the Moscone Cup this year?
Hasn't changed a bit.
Yeah.
Listen, we're on here talking about it every day everybody tunes in to watch us talk about it every day for an hour. Everybody tunes in to watch the matches so that they can say how one team is so much better than whatever. People are engaged. These events still get people engaged. So, and that's what you want. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. So, you know, would it be better engagement if it was a close match? Yeah, but like I said, I don't care, you know, whether Team USA loses the next 10 years in a row, you're still, you know, until people stop buying tickets for it, it's still an event that,
well,
that's you're going to have
okay. But listen, for whatever reason, people aren't buying tickets to Reyes Cup. And what happens if you start seeing a drop in attendance for the Moscone Cup then? Because the last few years have been pretty good, right? But like they've been pretty.
They've gone up every year for the last 20 years. So it's still that path to have an allegiance, right, to the U.S. or to Asia or to Europe or to the rest of the world, whatever the hell it is. So, you know, we'll always tune in and watch it. And then you know, when there's 50 million people online bitching about it, they all must have been watching it to bitch about it. So now, if the engagement starts going down and fans stop buying tickets, then yeah, you're gonna have to figure something out to change that up. I don't know what it is, you know. So I mean, I thought they had a pretty good formula this year with the rest of the world against Asia. You know, I thought on paper that sounded like a really cool event, right? Because it engages the entire world for one.
Yeah.
It makes theoretically gives you a better pool of players to pick from 5 players for the rest of the world. And so, but it hasn't worked out.
No, it hasn't worked out. It's just going down in flames at this point, you know, and that's the part that sucks because like, even though it wasn't the best players, like I still root for stories, you know, more than anything, you know, and I want to see, I want to see like the comeback. And even whenever I posted like a Windows Open yesterday, like this team, rest of the world have a chance. And I think it was like 20% of guys who went out there and voted were saying yes. And I'm like, God, I fucking hope so. And even whenever we had like off the record conversations with people, like everything that I've always said is like, I hope it sells out. I hope it's fucking hill, you know, despite like where I put my money at on this match, because it's like, this is like the worst case scenario here, you know, because I don't, Emily said in the press conference, whenever she asked Federer, she was like, but because initially it was going to be Team USA coming in here. Then Team USA gets smoked by the Europeans. Well, the Europeans got smoked by the Asians. So this is why she pivoted to go and bring in Team Rest of the World. But it's like, where do you go from here then, Mike? Because how are you going to be able to sell it for next year? You know, how are you going to get fans excited to show up next year for it?
Well, Team Asia's got to be the last 5 guys in the standings.
What do you mean?
Go to your, if your ranking is 256 players, go to the last 5 Asians. That's who's got to be Team Asia.
It's the only chance they got, right? Hey, listen, they still might get that smoke, Mike. I'm telling you, they still might get that fucking smoke, man. I promise you. Yeah, I think like the only other thing that I can think of in my head, and this is why I felt like the transition to the rest of the world was just a year premature, in my opinion. Because I would have much rather have seen the Europeans with the chip on their shoulder. But like this is a shit show. So like maybe if you actually give us the best team, maybe that'll give us hope, right? Either that or like I mentioned before, listen, I wouldn't mind seeing Team Philippines against Asia, Mike, or Team Philippines against the world, you know,
Yeah,
because
I guess then you're really kind of dumping on the rest of the world, which is, if that's what you
well,
want to do, that's fine. But then you're also limiting your audience to one
well,
part of the world and not the other. I mean, how many
fair enough,
Asians get up at
fair
5
enough.
o'clock in the morning to watch the Moscone Cup? Probably not.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
So
fair.
so it's that's why I thought that
Look,
this was a good format, because it engages the whole world into watching this one event.
well,
I mean, I thought theoretically it's a good idea.
a byproduct of that, Mike, is that you're going to see a lot of these guys who have been your staples go and say peace, because now that they're not going to get that guaranteed money, they're not going to play that fucking game anymore with you either. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen, because a lot of the reason why a lot of these guys like playing the game, they like getting the guaranteed money. They like being able to sell sponsorship spots on their jerseys. They like knowing they're going to get that check at the end of the rainbow. And more importantly, they like their position for most of the year as it is. So if you exclude them from the party, they're going to be scorned lovers, just like Josh is, just like Albin is, just like now Shane is, all these guys, And so you're going to start seeing the like where their loyalty really stands with it, Mike. I guarantee
Well,
you.
I don't know if I buy that 100%, because that the whole reason you play Matchroom and WNT events, shouldn't be because you want a guaranteed paycheck from Moscone. Okay, I mean that should be a byproduct of your playing those events. So the main thing is Matchroom WNT's got to work on creating more events or bigger events, so that whether there's a Moscone and a Reyes or not, players are playing your event. I mean, they're all playing a WPA event. There's nothing at the end of that rainbow. There's no WPA Reyes Cup. There's no WPA Moscone Cup, whatever. You're just playing the events because the events are great and they
Well,
have good prize
when
money.
I
And if you keep having big events with big prize money, the guys are going to play in them.
when I talked to Vincent, they mentioned like an end of the year ending in out there in Jacksonville. So that was something that they are focused on for like on the horizon with those
Aspirational, but it's not. It might be something that'll be
and
kind of
and
fun
I'm
to
not
have.
saying it'll listen.
That's
Nobody
not the reason that Shane's going to be playing in Bali, and Shane's isn't going to be because of the Predator event at the end of the year.
No, I know that. Listen, nobody does these end of the year events like Matchroom, but like, listen, you can't deny the fact that like it went like this for a while, right, and gave us a lot of hope, and now it's going down fast and in flames, and so you can't deny that part of it either. So you can't keep on sticking with this same like big chested attitude with it while still like everybody in the world is seeing what's going on here, and it's not good. And so then it's going to have a trickle down effect, I feel like, for the Moscone Cup, because I'm curious to see how much fans are going to be showing up when they like how much more are you going to be interested in the sport or the passion side of it, seeing like Federer and Shaw play together or Shaw and Sky play together. Are you going to have that same like feel as a fan going into December? Because I'm not so sure, Mike.
Yeah, no, I would. I mean, if I was hardcore, Western pool fan, I want to see my team beat the shit out of Asia. I want to see the big upset. I want to see the storming the arena. I want to see that. And then 3-4 weeks later, yeah, I'll root for Federer to beat Federer to beat Jason's head in. I can do that. It's not that big a stretch.
I think they're doing like a lot of good things in terms of like social media, like more than any event in any year. Like you're seeing like real time stuff. You're seeing reactions and shares
Yeah,
and big numbers and
right.
pushing storylines and all these things, and it's awesome. From the Matchroom side of things in that aspect. But like when and like I mentioned before, when you lose out on the potential of what it could be, and then it ends up as flat as this is where like it's listen, you really got to do some soul searching here, I've never been a fan of being one of these guys tell anybody how to do their jobs, because they're in the position and they built it to because of decisions that they've made, right? But at the end of the day, you have to be able to pivot a little bit whenever you start seeing shit, and This just did not work out by any means. It like when you start hearing Carl and Scott in the commentary booth saying like this is a bit embarrassing, then that's when you know like, oh man, if they're saying it, right, and they're the Muppets, then imagine what the rest of the world is thinking when they're seeing this shit too, Mike.
It's all in our chat right here.
Well, yeah. Do you have any? Let me ask you this, Mike. Do you have any hope for tomorrow at all?
Hope for what? Do we get to Sunday?
Well, we're gonna get to Sunday for sure. I can guarantee that.
I would guess I would say I put it this way. What do you think there is and how many matches we get tomorrow? Knowing that they'll pull the plug when Asia gets 2. Yeah. So if Asia gets 9, they pull the plug. Potential 7 matches tomorrow. Or no, potential 8 matches tomorrow. Because they're adding
3.
2 on from today.
3.
The over-under is 3 total matches tomorrow. I'll
3.
take the over.
Yeah. You'll take the over?
Yeah.
And you snap calling me gets me fucking nervous here, buddy.
What the hell?
Listen. I'm not gonna knit up on you. I'm gonna take the action here. Okay,
throw the challenge out there if you don't want the snap call.
3 is a push, by the way. Okay, so just so you know, 3 is a push. 4 you win, 2 I win. Okay, so just so we're
the only way you can win is if they go 2 and out tomorrow.
Mike, I didn't think it was gonna be. I didn't think it was gonna be 3 in a row from today, Mike. I really didn't. And it was brutal because, listen, I didn't watch the team match, so I didn't know what happened. Right? Heard about Fran, heard about guys missing shots, blah blah blah. I get all that, right? But then you bring on the shirt foul. Like the shirt foul felt like that was it. And then in the doubles, Chua just went and got his fucking shovel out and was just piling on him. You're like just fucking putting all the dirt on there. One great shot. He was letting that ball rip 3-4 rails, whatever. If he had a look, he was going.
The 8-foot jump shot at was it the 3?
He sized it up, Mike. He looked at it. He was going for it.
Did you see how high the cue ball jumped after it hit that 3? It was just like just pured it. Yeah, no, he was. It was worth the price of admission to watch Chua and Federer shoot jump shots. Yeah. Period.
Yeah.
Even
the AJ Federer match was great. When I woke up this morning and I saw that Federer and AJ match was awesome. Now, and I'll be honest with you, again, I bet on Team Asia, but at the end of it, when I saw Federer get caught in that foul, I was like, damn, man, like that just took the life out of me, Mike, with this event.
Yeah, that was it. That was, if you want to shut down today, that was the way to do it.
I can't believe he called that foul, Mike. I cannot believe he called that foul in that spot at Ill Hill. Now, and Federer had already did the hard work. Like I think it was the first.
It wasn't the easiest. He wasn't looking at the easiest shot in the world, but because based on
he was out. He was out. I think like the shot prior, the 4-ball prior was the toughest one. And he got on that one, and I thought, okay, this is a wrap. And I think everybody in the room knew that it was a wrap. And even though like I would have said, okay, here we go, Team Rowe is gonna get. I wouldn't have said all that, but it would have at least been better than what it was, because what it ended up was just. I mean, it ended up just. I
saw what Rick said, and I thought I see what Rick said, and I thought the exact same thing. I thought, listen, if I'm Federer, next time I get overshot and it's going to be close, I'm peeling my freaking shirt off. I'm just taking the fucker off and shooting bare chested because I'm not taking that chance.
Yeah. Sure. Well, and let me tell you, if you're playing shirts versus skins, Team Rowe's got a pretty good chance, because I hear Sky might be the best like no shirt player on the planet is what I'm hearing. So now if you're playing like sandals versus shoes, then I might take the Philippines again.
Team Rowe, shirtless Team Rowe would shark the shit out of Team Asia.
Look, imagine the fucking the photos you're gonna get out of that one. You know what I mean? So, it ain't gonna be pretty, that's for sure.
So let's get into some of the action itself.
Okay.
Does it drive you nuts? Well, it was Fran, but I mean, how many guys does it take to run up to a table and tell someone what shot to take?
You showed me that screenshot, Mike, and I was shocked seeing in the teams match how many guys stood up there and were like,
there were 3 in one. There were 3 at one time, and then 4 right before that. and they're all like pointing, going over here and doing this thing, and poor Fran can't make a ball to save his life, and I'm sure his head was about ready to explode. There's no way that, when I saw them all there stand up over his shoulder, pointing in different directions, I thought there is no way this guy gets the shot done. Not a chance in the world. His head has got to be ready to explode.
What was your take on that? Because I had an immediate reaction in my own head that I haven't mentioned yet, but I want to get what your thought on it was, Mike. Besides the fact that you thought he was going to go and dog it or miss it, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're just throwing too much into the guy's head who's already on tilt. Now, the one thing that I did think through was, Fran knew he was on tilt. Fran knew he wasn't playing well. Maybe Fran really kind of wanted them to come out there, but pick one guy or something. This 3 guys coming out there and having a conference and calling someone else in a Zoom call and Johan or whoever and talking about how to take the shot. It's like, geez, you talk about paralysis by analysis. Man, you guys killed the guy. He had no chance of making that shot. No chance.
Brandon, shoot me a PM. I'll send you a piece of Town Talk for that little nugget there in the chat. Mike, let me tell you something. When I saw that photo that you sent me, because like I mentioned a bunch of times, I didn't see the team's match. My first thought is, man, if you're Double J, you're 800 yeah, like all that falls to me on Double J, because that's where you have to manage the team. And I don't care, even if Fran said, hey, I want everyone's input one after another. Don't give them what they want, right? You're the fucking leader. You're the manager. You got to go and handle that shit, because you can't go and overwhelm that guy like that, especially knowing the fact that he struggled already yesterday. So chances are he's not feeling the most confident, even though, like, listen, he's got experience and all these things. But it's like you have to be able to have your finger on that pulse as far as how the dude's feeling. I think that part, like I said, falls on there. Darren in the chat says they're all playing bad. Rowe have been average and leading 7-0. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Edwin, we have not treated Jason Shaw like a pool god who doesn't deserve who deserved to be there. We have all questioned,
you can't deny his Moscone Cup successes, though. That's the other thing. Like when it comes to year of the tournaments,
yes, he's 11-1 in his last 12 singles matches in Moscone. So that's why he's on the team, regardless of merit. And like I said too, I will defend that. That Matchroom, the promoter, should absolutely take one pick in its pocket for that they want in their, whether for ability or for
and Jay's always going to be that guy for the foreseeable future.
But we all know Jason's not up there when it comes to merit.
Let me ask you this, Mike, and I don't know if I text you this or not. I know I texted somebody this yesterday, but have the Europeans been that good, or have the Americans just been that bad after seeing this? Like, what is your thought on that?
I think the Europeans are to Americans what the Asians are to the Europeans. It's levels. We're at this level. They're at this level. The Asians are at that level. It's just,
I'm going to take you up on that, Darren.
Why, people were like, people are like, Europeans used to be the dominant. Well, Europeans were dominant when basically they had passed the Americans. All they were playing were Americans. All those years of European dominance there were like 5 a tournament, and 4 of them were Filipinos.
Yeah.
Right. So now that it's become a world game and the Asians are all showing up, we're seeing on a daily basis what everybody has known for all those years is that's where the best pool in the world is.
Yeah, 130 million% agree with you, Mike. That was the part that was gonna happen as a result of this worldwide tour, which is great, but you've been building this brand on promoting Europeans for so long, where now you're gonna have to start developing elsewhere, because the way that the Europeans stole all the Americans' money for so many years, robbing tournaments and all these things, that's what the Asians are going to come and do. And you're already seeing that this year with the Asians dominating the circuit, Mike. Just getting championships after championships. And so when that starts happening, and you're already seeing that with the Americans, right, where the Americans don't want to travel. You know why? Because they don't stand a chance, and they know they don't stand a chance, and so that's why they just stay playing. That's the reason why They just play the minimum to get in. They're just playing more regional tournaments than ever before, right? Because and I get it from a bottom line standpoint, it makes perfect sense.
From
You know,
feed the family, yeah, from the feed the family standpoint.
yeah, yeah. So, but that you're gonna have that as well when it comes to the Europeans, and I think you already saw that with a lot of there was a lot more guys who wanted to go play the World 8-Ball Championship than were out there in Hanoi. I promise you that, Mike, because
Yeah,
I've heard there was a lot of Moscone Cup type players and mainstays on Moscone Cup that were trying to get wild cards for playing the World 8-Ball, you know?
of
And
course.
so,
I
you know,
mean,
so
look at the
what
prize money difference between the two. It was ridiculous.
oh yeah, and you're just going to continue to see it. And kudos to all these companies like a CPBA or an international or whatever, where like they're starting to put on these regional American pool tournaments out there in Asia, because now you got guys that can get a little bit of a bankroll. They got the skills. We just ain't never heard of them before.
Yeah, but again, a lot of this comes down to, if everybody can get the scheduling squared next year, where people don't have to say I'm skipping this to play in this, then it's better for everybody. Then everybody wins, right? So we kind of saw this coming this year, and I've said before, I'll give everybody a pass on this year. Next year, if it's the same story, then someone's got to go.
You 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 said that the other day, Mike, like as far as giving it a pass on this year. And in the moment I didn't think about it. I went back and I'll go back and I'll watch the show just to kind of see where I'm fucking up or where I'm repeating words or whatever, right? And so when I heard that part of it, in the moment I didn't really respond, but what I thought thereafter was I think you already had that last year, Mike, because they already shit the bed last year in keeping filler out. It already wasn't competitive
Yeah, but
hockey.
what I'm saying is, last year was the line in the sand, and people started getting banned and all that stuff. Okay, this year, Matchroom and WPA squared themselves away as best they could, so that everybody could play in everything. But by then, the schedule was already set for the rest of this year, right? You already had tournaments on top of tournaments. Now,
Yeah.
now you've got this ability for everybody to play in everything. For next year, keep the tournaments away from each other. That was my argument.
Well,
That's why I said this year's kind of a pass, because by the time they got this agreement in place where Shane could play in WNT and WP and any kind of penalty from WPA, by the time they came to that agreement, it was March or whatever it was, and a lot of these events were already committed to. So that's why you had so many problems this year. Now, if they run into the same problems next year, to me, there's no excuse.
yeah, I mean it's gonna be telling for sure. A lot of passion in the comments there, Darren. For sure, we'll get you in. Yeah, Robert puts on a great event out there in Romania each and every year. I just think like, listen, you're starting to see some of these staples of Moscone Cup guys where they're like they look big and bad when they're facing against Americans, right? And Americans who are like they're not at that same level, right? But listen, you're also seeing them shrink for back-to-back years now against a bigger and badder team, and we talk about heart and intangibles and all these things with players all the time, Mike, but when you're playing at a lesser competition for so many years and then you start playing against somebody your own size and start getting bullied in your own right, that's the only reason why I make that conversation. Darren brought up Albin and Filler in his post yesterday, which by the way just took off. But and I wanna bring you on tomorrow. We'll bring that up as well, Darren. But I want to get your take on that, Mike, and especially on the Albin conversation, because me and you had very different takes on Albin.
I'm not buying the Albin. Sorry.
At all.
Just listen. I know he's the greatest doubles player in the history of. You can't keep arguing these things back and forth and play both sides to the middle of good old boy network and this guy played great for 2018 and 2019 and 2020. And come on, the game moves on. The people move on. Players, we're going to just keep putting Albin on until he can't make a ball anymore. And then we'll say finally, okay. Everybody kind of goes through their turns, goes through their phases. Take today's players who are playing great and make them this on this platform. I mean, if we were going by that, team rest of the world should have been Carl and Jason, Albin, and Filler. Okay, just do that, because I mean that's what Team USA did for a million years. It was all these guys based on past performances. And after a while, it got old, it got tired, they didn't perform, and in the meantime, you missed 5 or 6 years of guys who were coming up who never got the chance because it was the same old, and everybody bitched about the same old every year.
Well,
so then Mantra went and made it merit based, and now everybody wants the same old. So I just, Albin just won the world. Albin, I'm glad Albin won the world 8-ball. I love Albin, but for 9-ball and his performance and the WNT of the last 2 years and whatever, no, I'm not putting him on this team.
The only thing that I would say, Mike, is that the same way you have this small pool of exception players, right? Like Jay is, and like you're seeing like Fran is now, I would include him in that same mix, because the last time I saw Albin on that stage, he was still pretty rock solid. I would still put weight on what he's accomplishing today. Now, I know the last time we saw him on WNT was
he's
losing
great,
to.
and he would probably do fine. He's great, and he would probably do fine in that. But Albin is a top 5 player on the planet. I don't know what planet that fucking is. So
I like whenever you're fired up, Mike. This is listen.
I love all the arguments. And I love all the arguments, and I love Albin, and I get Darren's point. Albin is a clutch doubles player and whatever, but come on, it's time.
All right, Mike, give me your thoughts on tomorrow. Or does it even matter at this point?
Well, if Albin was there tomorrow, they would win all the doubles matches, and then it would be a title race.
I love Mike. Send me your shipping information. I'm going to send you a piece of town chalk for that wonderful troll
commentary. How am I going to do with a piece of chalk? What am I going to do with a piece of chalk?
No, I think I hope they go out there and show some fight. I think it's already too little, too late. And that part of it's unfortunate, and like I mentioned earlier, when I saw Double J say he was getting, having real, candid conversations with guys and trying to fire them up and all these things, I had a little bit of hope, but what happened today with the shirt foul, what happened today with Chua just burying him, like they have just taken one punch after another. It's time to wave the white flag. They got no chance of getting back in here. I don't care what their Moscone resume is, or what their in Emily's head resume there is, or what world championship I don't care. Like they are outmanned, outgunned, outclassed, and as a unit they just fell short. And I think a part of that is whether it's not having pride in being out there, or maybe because it's a different dynamic as far as being from world to whatever. It's like it has been ugly. Jonas in the chat says hello. Look, I might have thrown that kid in there over a couple of guys, Mike.
I'd love to see Jonas in there playing. He will be in the next couple of years, whether it's Moscone or whether it's Reyes. There's no doubt about it. And that's why I love seeing these young players get a chance and get in there. And if they earn it on merit, then give them the freaking chance. Don't go pass it off to someone who was great 10 years ago, or who you love as your buddy, we know how a lot of these guys get on these teams. It's been that way over the years. So I hate to see someone like Jonas. I hate to see a couple of years go, but he should be playing and he's not. So I want to make sure, I'm more interested in making sure that guys like that, who are busting their ass and winning tournaments and climbing and right up there in the top 3 or 4 guys, they don't get passed over. Give them their chance. They've earned it.
Well, here's the deal. You would be able to see more of what his potential is if you had World Cup of Pool, right? Because he would be on that team in Spain. I don't care how great David and Fran are. He would be on that team given the year that he's had. So we're missing out on opportunities to go and see more of them because of the lack of invitationals. Marv says we're a bunch of crybabies, Mike, and that AJ is delivering. Well, yeah, there ain't no doubt. I'm for sure. I've been a crybaby for 39 years.
Obviously, he's late to the show, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all good with people calling us out.
Yeah. Listen, I thought it would be more fun. I look forward to this all year long. I think like the ego of it all has to get out in order to at least have something that on paper is going to be more competitive, you know. And at this point, for whatever happened, I think like at the end of the day, if it's going to come down to leadership, Mike, for whatever reason, whether on the team or the promoter or whatever, you know, because the whole process has just completely shit the bed on what this event could be, and especially considering the fact that for so many years we were looking forward to it, or at least I was anyway, you know. And so I hope fans show up tomorrow. I'm not so sure, you know, but I think no matter what, given the lineup, and especially given how soft the Asians set it up on the front end in terms of what their potential is, you're going to see them just put the hurt on them tomorrow. And now I think now the goal has shifted for the Asians, where now they want to go out there with an exclamation point, give them that donut, and that's what I'm rooting for. I want to see, if you already have a bloodbath and it's already going to be uncompetitive, go for the jugular.
If it's a donut, then there's only going to be 2 matches tomorrow, because you're going to start with
yeah. Well, then I don't care. I'm going to win some money, and then I'm more importantly, I'm going to get a dinner from Uncle Mike. So I'm good with that. I'm perfectly good with 2 matches for tomorrow.
Yeah. So you got Wong starting out against Sky in singles.
Have they put out?
And then you've got
put out the roster.
Last 2 matches from today. They got to be the first 2 for tomorrow, right?
Oh, that's right. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So you got Wong against Sky in singles, and then you've got Yap and Beato against Fran and Moritz. Ooh, that one could get ugly.
We got to pray, Mike. We got to pray. All right, Mike, I'm off to the gym. I'm taking Madeline for a swim. I'm going to go for a run. You guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us.
Yeah,
Mike, are you around?
Tune in tomorrow, because we're going to have Darren on here, and he's going to come after me about going after Alvin. And by the way, Darren, I never heard Alvin is washed up. I still think Alvin's a great player. I just don't think that
save it for tomorrow's show, will you? Okay, because I'm gonna have Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer here on the show, and that's what I want to see.
Spicy, man. Darren's going to get spicy.
You know, yeah, that's what I want to see. And you know what? By the way, next week I got Alvin coming on to the show for next week as well. So make sure and stay tuned for that. Okay, anyhow, go enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Oh, Mike, I'll listen. I'll fly you in if I have to get you on the goddamn show. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of the day. We'll see all you guys.